Jonathan, please go.
No, Linda, I wish to receive what you've just shared. It's not about going anywhere. It's really taking time and breathing into that. This is a container. Yes, Lisa.
Could you, I'm just going to ask this question. Did you want us to respond to some of the reactions that we got from answering these 5 questions?
We can get to that, but if you wish to talk about it now, please do.
So I have a sentence in the first conscious choice. And as I'm rereading it this morning, because I wrote this 3 days ago, I'm really surprised and very impressed. And I have to say, it's not coming from the ego part of myself. It's really coming from the realization that my inner wisdom really is ultimately the best guide that I have. And I wrote about choice. It's a shift in my thinking and the courage to believe in myself and the inner voice that tells me to walk away from a bad situation or stay in a bad situation. And I forget that I do have choices. And that I have to listen to that little voice in me that's always guiding me into the direction that I need to be, whether positive or negative. Because sometimes negative situations in my life, even though it's very difficult going through them at the time, I always notice that at the end of that cycle, there is this amazing growth in myself. And so I just love this activity. I'm sorry, but it was, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna, but I applaud you and I love this, so.
Well, I applaud you, Lisa, because you're moving out of duality, right? Negative, positive becomes one. It supports you in your raising of vibration. That simple. That simple. Anyone else wish to share before we continue? Okay. I'd like to start by just reading you the prophecy from the Hopi Nation. Just that simple. You've been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go and tell the people that this is the hour, and there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Where's your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to each other. Do not look outside yourself for a leader. There's a river flowing now, very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being pulled apart and will suffer greatly. Understand that the river knows its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water. Take a look now in the room at everyone that's in the middle of the river with you. This is a community that has let go of the shore. and are in the middle of the river. Receive and give simultaneously by being present just with yourself. You're giving and receiving. So receive your community. Support. And I say, see who is in there with you. Hold fast to them and celebrate. At this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to an end. The time of the lone wolf is over. I'm definitely a lone wolf. Yeah. All my life, a lone wolf. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are all about to go on a journey. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Just take a breath, take it in, receive. What Lisa talked about, listening to that inner voice, that little tiny voice, slowing down, breathing, taking in. We all have that knowing, that being present. Something else I'd like to read to you. This comes from Oracle Girl. I'm a sovereign being in control of my own biology. In consort with the earth, I decide what takes form. Pure love is the essence of this universe. It is the nature of the spark of infinity inside me. I establish togetherness, peace, and no harm for all beings in line with the principles of nature. How does that strike you?
Would you read that again, Jonathan, please?
Surely.
Thank you.
I'm a sovereign being in control of my own biology. In consort with the earth, I decide what takes form. Pure love is the essence of this universe. It is the nature, the spark of infinity inside me. I establish togetherness, peace, and no harm for all beings in line with the principles of nature. And for me, this I is not the I of the personality Jonathan. It's the I of us all. And so what we talked about earlier in terms of the fear, the anxiety, the anger, that's very much in the collective. It's felt. And that can be fuel energy to raise my vibration. It's a choice. When I'm present in the moment. And my brother Jim is on the call, and I get a chance to talk with him every Wednesday, and we talk about things. And each time we talk, as we're talking, he then goes, okay, take a breath. Let's come back now to this moment. And that's what we're doing now. We're talking, sharing, listening, and then before we move on, we come back into present moment. And then we step again. We take another step. We're slowing it down. Anyone have anything they want to share? Yes, please, Ron. And by the way, Ron, I notice you keep your piece on because you no longer have to find that sucker to turn it off or to turn it on, right?
Right.
Beautiful.
Something occurred to me with what you just said. My kid brother, world-class pediatrician from Pittsburgh, has Parkinson's. Discovered it 4 or 5 years ago. I can't see him because of travel restrictions. Breaks my heart to a degree. But about 9 months ago, I started calling him twice a week. We talk about nothing. That nothing to him is a view of the outside world that he has left behind. He's fighting hard with Parkinson's, but as you all know, it's a horrible disease. So it's a connection with my only brother, best friend. That's the best I can do.
What a gift you are, Ron. Yes, ma'am.
Uh, I'm so touched by your quiet ways, and I feel that listening is a way to understand and to give me the space to be with somebody. It's in the listening that I gain knowledge, and I appreciate this moment and your presentation, because it's in the listening that I am having the space to be me. And something happens, that I'm receiving the message. And I don't have to go anywhere and do anything or say anything. I really am touched about this gift you're giving us. You are a blessing.
The Ascension Frequency Game. The card I chose, it was random. I picked 5 cards randomly. And the first card was choice. And the question came, if you feel that you are a victim in any way, what conscious choice and action do you need to make in reclaiming your power and sovereignty? Just feel into that this moment. And if something comes to you, you can share it, you can write it down, you can keep it to yourself. It's up to you. But in the sharing, it is medicine for us all.
Jonathan, what came up for me, it's Levita. What came up to me when you read that was my experience with my neighbors. It's like I did feel victim in as much as they crossed, in my mind, a boundary. And in hearing you read that, and I always need to hear things twice because the first time I only get pieces of it, it occurred to me that by shifting my perspective on that, and it was really important that I acknowledge in the moment what I was experiencing and express it, because that was new territory for me. I don't usually do that. And by stepping into and choosing just to be with them, I was carrying a grudge. And by choosing to let go of the grudge and just meet our humanness together. And I have tears on this. It's like I released myself from my grudge and can embrace our imperfections together. And I'm really grateful for this added piece that ties into it there. Thank you very much.
Jonathan, this is Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
What you said, sharing is medicine for us all,
Yes.
is one of the most profound things I've heard in a long time. Thank you, brother.
Oh,
Sharing is medicine for us all. It's so true. When you share honestly from our hearts, all are benefited. So thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else? I can't see on the second screen. Okay. The second card I chose was love. Not love, but in the love suit. And it was unity. Feel into that word, that feeling, unity. It said, you cannot be separated from the flow of love that unites us all. Acknowledge this reality, and its power is reactivated in your awareness. The question, what have you identified with that you take yourself to be that has separated you from this flow of love that unites us all in your awareness? Yeah, Bill.
Thank you, Jonathan. Sometimes this flow of awareness and the unity you talk about, sometimes I have opinions about things, about people, and I hold opinions, and I sometimes I express them, sometimes I don't, but it's just something that it's just a little impediment that I have. And my bigger picture is to get past that and just let it go, my observations and such, and just live in that unity, that love, commonality, and I don't do that often enough. I don't do that often enough, and it feels good when I do get back to that sort of that common stream that we all we feel in. But I just it's something I'm working on. I'm constantly working on.
Should I get the whip out, Bill?
Sure.
Okay, I'll get the whip out.
There we go.
Yeah, man. To see that is more than enough. Just to see that. And be really gentle, easy. Oh, you catch it. That's enough. It's loving ourselves. Really loving ourselves. And really, the question would be, what you just said, does that really belong to you? Does that really belong to you? And that's, you can catch, when you start catching and then following it in, you may find out that this has nothing to do with you. Clothes that you've put on a long time ago, forgot that they were clothes, and you take them as you. It's just stuff you put on. It doesn't belong to you whatsoever. You are pure love. Or nothing, or everybody. Whatever, however you want to phrase it.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're me. I'm talking to myself. Surprise. Okay.
Lisa
Third-
has her hand
thank
up,
you.
Jonathan. Mhm.
I please,
Thank you.
Elisa. Thank you.
I just finished a course of mindful self-compassion, and it's such an awareness of what stories I'm telling myself about myself,
Mhm.
and just having the awareness to be able to be curious, I think helps me so much to stop judging. And it seems like that's kind of what you're talking about, non-judgmental curiosity about, okay, where is this coming from? What does this mean? And not to over-identify with something, but to be able to, I don't know, observe it almost, to take a step back from it, which is so hard when you're in the middle of it.
And that's, we're slowing down so that you
Yeah.
can catch it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So that's with breath. That's with attention. It's with presence. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Miriam.
Hello, Jonathan, and
Hello.
thank you
Thank you.
so much for your gentle presence. I love what you just did with Bill. It was marvelous.
You mean what Bill did with me?
What you did together.
The whip. You got to watch the whip.
Now, the
Ouch,
line you said about
stings.
putting on clothes a long time ago and then thinking that they were you. Isn't that amazing? I had an experience this week that I'd like to share. And it took me back to an experience I had a number of years ago. A number of years ago, I was digging around in my garage and I found a picture of this woman who I was so drawn to. And she was so familiar. And I could not figure out who it was. I was absolutely, I don't know, just frozen brains over who this person was, but the connection was profound. And it wasn't until, I don't know, sometime later, I think a friend of mine, I asked her who this picture was of, if she recognized this woman. And she said, "Ma'am, it's you." And you're nodding like, yeah, you knew. Anyway, so I've just been thinking about that this week because I've been supervising interns as a therapist for many, many years. And every 6 months or so, I do a 4-hour didactic on a presentation on communication. And it's more about our communication with one another. It's not about, it's the process of being with us together. And I did it on Zoom and I recorded it. And for the first time in all these years of doing presentations, I watched it. I've never watched myself do this. And what struck me so dramatically was I really liked what this person said and how she conducted herself. And I thought, I would go to her. I would, it was the first time in my life that I could not find anything to criticize. And what this whole experience sort of said to me was that, like when I couldn't identify this picture, it's like what I experience inside has not really ever matched what I think I must look like on the outside to other people. I didn't even recognize this picture. Who is this woman? I talked about it with my therapist yesterday, and she said, "What do you think that the people who knew this woman in days before felt or thought about this woman? What did they see?" And I said, I think they must have seen what seeped out from behind my complexes and my defenses in some altered form. That's what I think. But I just wanted to share this whole experience of who is that woman? And another part of this is craziness. I found the little dolls, the little symbols that were on my parents' wedding cake. So I have the bride and groom, my parents, that were on my parents' wedding cake in 1933. And it's all connected with who were those people to whom I was born and how different the experience back then was to the experience now. And I'm just looking at that now with a different view, different eyes. And I just want to share that. I don't know what quite to make of it, but I'm just aware of it.
That you, as you're raising your vibration, are really supporting your mom and dad, your ancestors. In other words, a through line. And they are supporting you at this point in time. They've come back into your life in that way. The beginning of your life, this life.
I'm not sure I understand what you just said, but I am listening.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think Patricia had her hand and then Minnie.
Well, I wanted to share about, since this is about love, how I was, can you hear me?
Yes.
How I felt involved in this love dance in the last few days. How people through WhatsApp, Zoom, phone, texting were supporting me in this little experience I went through, and I felt so supported. It's a dance that I so welcomed it and so warmly supported me, and that's the comment I wanted to share with you, how grateful I am to be on the receiving side. And I know, as you say, we're all connected. I am you, you are me, and it's just an energy that warmly connects us and keep us going, like the energizing bunny. Keep going. So I wanted to share this with you.
Thank you, Jonathan. You're a real dreamboat. I've been a student of the Course in Miracles for about 12 years on a weekly basis. I join a book study group. And what you're asking of us, to me, is so aligned with the journey that I am on as a follower of the Course in Miracles, from kind of figuring out where level 2 is and level 1. Level 2 is duality, level 1 is unity. And judgment and forgiveness are our huge tools and purpose of learning lessons in this life. And I love, love, love that you're bringing it to the group as an exercise, and very cool.
Can I jump in now?
Please.
Sorry, Minnie.
That's okay. Somebody sent me a wonderful message this morning, actually. I'd like to read it out to you people. In an interview, a radio jockey was interviewing a millionaire guest, and he asked him, "What made you most happy in life?" The millionaire said, "I have gone through 4 stages of happiness before I understood what is true happiness. The first stage was to accumulate wealth, but I didn't get happiness with my millions. The second stage was to collect valuables with this wealth, but the temporary luster of these valuables didn't last long. The third stage was doing big projects like buying a football team, a tourist resort, but that didn't last very long. The fourth time, a friend of mine asked me to buy wheelchairs for disabled. I immediately bought them, but my friend insisted that I accompany him and hand over the wheelchairs to the disabled children. I got ready. I gave these chairs to the needy children with my own hands. I saw a strange glow of happiness on their faces. I saw them all sitting on the chairs, moving around and having fun as if they had arrived at a playing park. One of the kids grabbed my legs while I was leaving the place. I gently tried to free my leg, But the, but the child stared at my face. I bent down and asked the child, "Do you need something else?" The answer of the child not only made me happy but changed my life. The child said, "I want to remember your face so that when I meet you in heaven, I'll be able to recognize you and thank you once again." So that is true happiness: giving, receiving, embracing.
Jonathan, you have 10 more minutes.
Okay. The third card was in the forgiveness suit, and it was the vehicle of love. It says, once you have cleared the toxin of unforgiveness from your system and reclaimed your power, you can allow your natural essence of love to flow through you to bless everyone you touch. And so the question was, who and what do you need to forgive in clearing your system, reclaiming your power, and allowing love to flow through you? Yes, Jennifer.
I had a falling out with my sister about 2 or 3 months ago, and I sent her some apology texts. And she called me this week after 3 months that we haven't spoken. However, I had to tell her that I had received a phone call that somebody needed to contact her. And that changed the whole conversation back to the very beginning. So now we're not talking again. And I just wonder what do I have to be in order to patch up the differences with my sister. I just found a picture of her and I, I'm the oldest, and she and I are touching our noses at one point, or we're holding hands when we were at the river. So what can I do to patch up? She says, let's just be separated, but she lives only 10 minutes away from me.
Then you have plenty of opportunity.
She's the youngest one. She's very.
Who, really?
Yeah.
Laugh with her.
It's funny, Jennifer, I was thinking, who do I have to forgive? It's my sister. And we've been separated since sort of 1983, and she lives across the nation. And I like the separation. I like not forgiving her. And I have to look at that and say, what is the cost of hanging on to that not forgiving? And clearly, Ron is giving me an idea that I've been thinking, making a list of people that to call and saying, I've been thinking of you. And my sisters definitely should be on that list. As much as I don't really want to do it, I think I'll do it. And because I think just the doing of it achieves the forgiveness. For me, so that's all.
I'll move on to the fourth one. It was in the gratitude suite, and it was bliss. You are lifted out of the field of problems and challenges. You do not have to struggle with this situation any longer. Let yourself heal in the miraculous waters of bliss. What is it that is wanting to be healed is the question.
I want to be kinder. I am balanced. My life is working. I get to see clients. I get to help. I feel engaged. I love my husband. I love my little doggie who can't see or hear. I have a beautiful home. I have so much to be grateful for. And yet I find myself not wanting to hear people when they're unbalanced. Maybe it's because that's my work. I don't know. But I know that it would be very helpful if I could find a peace inside myself to know that love is really the answer. Kindness is the way. And to be kind to self, because if I'm not kind to self, I can't be kind to others. And take off some of those old clothes.
Linda, what you've just shared leads right into the next question or the next card, which was the resistor. And the resistor, not the card, but the suit, distortions of truth. They are allies because they show us what we can release, shift, or transform to help us learn and grow in love. And the card that was chosen was collective consciousness. It does not serve you to take the generally accepted course of action in this case. Take time to become more aware of the assumptions you have made about this situation. Tune into your personal integrity, and correct action will have a better chance of revealing itself to you. And so the question was, take time. If you were to listen to your guidance, what next step would you take that would serve your highest good now? You can work with that. Yes, Jules?
I really love these questions in this teaching. When I was younger, I was the black sheep and scapegoat in my family, and I did so much work. There was so much trauma, and I was constantly the one that turned the other cheek. I was always the one that did the work. And then when I became a mother, I think every year until 5 years ago, like I would give myself a B- at the work. You know, like I knew that I made mistakes and I asked for forgiveness. I had a pretty good relationship with my extended family. But then all this trauma happened to my daughter and to me. My grandmother died, my mother had Alzheimer's, and people who used to forgive me and my family stopped forgiving me. And I did go in and out of therapy and I did a lot of work, and something came to me that I had always been the one to forgive and that I had no more to be the one to grovel or to explain or to defend. And I have healed so much self-judgment in the last few years, like just layers and layers of just like this weird residual. And I just had such an aha, because when I listened to the last sharing and the woman who's a therapist was saying, well, maybe I give all the time. And this card is really saying, like, what are assumptive moral judgment on a situation. And I think I've had that inner judgment that I still have to figure out how to heal these rifts. But I've really held back because I was always the one that did it. And it's like that horse to water thing, And I just felt such a huge aha in this question, because for me, I feel that what I've been doing is the right course. Like the right course for me is to fall in love with myself again and to forgive myself again and find the way when that integrity comes forward stronger, where I'm not groveling or giving a laundry list of all of my sins, because it's like when I do look in the mirror, as that other therapist said, like when I do look in the mirror and I see I have always been a generous soul and I've always been the first one to ask for forgiveness. And it's just not the time right now for me to do that. And even though it makes me sad for my daughter, I'm just still working on re-emerging and becoming stronger as a human that loves herself and gives of herself where that giving is received and where that giving is needed in the world. And I had such a burst of aha when I read that and listened to you. And I just am so grateful.
Jules, I am grateful.
Jonathan, would you like to summarize? We're at the end of your presentation.
Yes. Shall we breathe together? And just gently close your eyes and receive and give simultaneously. There's nothing you have to do because you're it. There's only I. In the middle of the river, celebrating. Or not. Thank you.